Hello, hello, hello. This is Rhyana from Plan Wholesome Empowerment Group, and I am here re-recording our session with the beautiful Lescha Marshall. So basically, we done a live. It was absolutely amazing, and because Instagram decided it wanted to act up, we decided that we're not going to allow that to happen. So we're re-recording, and it's coming to you today. What's the date today? The 3rd or 4th of June? But
yes.
It doesn't matter. It's there for you to watch because it was so informative, so helpful, so inspiring. And this is my lock sister. So we've got to do it again. Absolutely. So Lescha is a chef. She's a cook. She's an artist. She's an all-round individual. She's an all-round creative. But today she's come to us to speak all about the importance of healthy eating, clean living, and we're going to be delving into some small topics around some examples for healthy eating, how to create healthy eating habits, and yeah, Lescha, feel free, take the platform, introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, my sister Rhyana. Thank you so much. Well, yes, I also go by Natrel Mystic and LadyBug, but I am Lescha Marshall-Witter on Facebook for those of you who want to share or follow or see what I'm all about. And I am the cook, creator, sort of co-partner of Yard Foods, which is the food business that was organically created this year, funnily enough. So yeah, it's been a really interesting journey, let's just say, in regards to that side of the business, but an interesting year so far. But food has played a really important part it plays an important part in all of our lives. But for me, I have my good bits and my bad bits, and then I realized what I needed to do to kind of help myself forever, you know, for as long as I'm in this body. I need to respect it furthermore, and I need to respect what I ingest. So that means what goes in my eyes, what goes in my ears, and what goes in my mouth, but what's in my heart and in my stomach. They're all important. We're all connected in that way. And we know that words sound power. I'm one of those kind of people, you know, so I try to speak positivity into my life and manifest that vision that I had. And that's where the food business started. So yeah, I'm in a really good place within myself. But I've had my downs, and that's what brought me to where I am today. Was the, you know, the not unfortunate, I've suffered with ill health. I had an invisible illness, which was even worse, I suppose, for me and for the people around me. So I knew I wasn't well, but I didn't know what was wrong, if that makes sense. And I was not really a fan of going to the doctor. So for 11 years, I kind of just walked around with symptoms, let's say, that was there. I could notice them. I knew they were there, but I did nothing about them. I wasn't worried. They weren't crippling my lifestyle, should we say.
It's like your body adjusted to it, or your lifestyle adjusted to it.
Yeah, I just learned to live with what was going on. You know, like if you've got a backache, you tend to just get up and get on with it. Or if you suffer with arthritis, you just get up and get on, you know, one of those sorts of things. So it wasn't something that was hindering me. It did hinder me conceiving, and that was kind of where it arose. So it all started to arise around what they would say infertility or lack of fertility there, and that's where the journey started. Years and years later, we still couldn't kind of figure out what was wrong. And then that's when I discovered, after 11 years of them kind of wondering, that I had a brain tumor, a benign tumor on my prolactin, prolactin gland. So I wasn't, you know, did the whole medication thing, and that was for years and years, but it affected me in other ways. So the medication that I was on made me depressed because it was suppressing certain parts of the brain from being active. And I was already kind of diagnosed, don't like that word, already advised that I was in a depressive state because of not being able to conceive. So it just compounded and impacted everything, I took medication for 5 years. It slowed down the activity that was going on. And on the back of it, I then started my menopause. So the whole dream of having a child, having a family, and it just got way too much. So my body just I didn't know what to do. My brain wasn't misfiring, my body wasn't functioning.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, what can I do to actually help myself? So once I came off the medication and I started to read the side effects of what this medication can do, it can affect my heart. I've now discovered I have a heart murmur. You know, it could affect my liver, so it could affect my kidneys, so that could affect your sugar levels and your dialysis and the way your body processes sugars and all of these things. And I'm like, no, I feel diabetes. Like, what's happening? You know, so I stopped. I grew up in Rastafari. As everyone knows, or most people don't know, what we would say now is vegan. I grew up as just being an italist.
Yeah, ital diet.
Yeah, no animal byproduct, full stop. That was like no eggs, no milk, no butter. Like, so we can get all the alternatives that are vegetable and plant-based. So when people talk about plant-based diet, plant-based this, I'm like, I've been doing that for a while. Yeah. So I got caught up with the real world in that, you know, and McDonald's, fast food, junk food, sweets.
As we all do. I'm guilty of that too, sis, honestly. Yeah. It's the Westernized diet, I call it.
Unfortunately, yeah, it is. And then I started to hear things like our foods or West Indian foods and African foods weren't particularly good for us. Yeah. And they would trigger certain things and all of that. And I'm like, no, not. Yeah, I look at the size of my parents and I'm like, they're not overweight or unwell or unfit, if that makes sense. And we live, you know, a fairly balanced life, and we eat fairly balanced meals, don't overly exercise, you know, they smoke, they drink. I see them living a normal life, but they're not unwell. So it to me, it wasn't the food. But what I did remember is that was the size and the portions. Yes. That we used to get.
The big plates. Because I remember in the last interview, you was telling me your dad didn't just use a big plate, he used a tray.
A platter. He had an oval platter, like one that you would present a fish with all the veg, all the food or whatever, and people would help themselves off the platter. Do you sort of think?
That's for him one.
That's for him one, you know what I mean? So I grew up eating a whole thing, you know, large portions of food, and I was a lot chunkier, a lot heavier when I was younger, but I was going to the gym 5 times a week. You know, I played basketball, netball, I was swimming, I used to lift weights, I was overly active as a youth. So my size didn't hinder me. It just looked, I suppose, worse because I'm short. I'm only 5'2", so anything above 9-10 stone being this height makes you just look naturally bigger anyway. And then I went through a really bad stage, a really bad relationship in my late teens, early 20s. And I went from, let's say, 12, 13 stone at my heaviest. And I went down to 6 stone.
I could never imagine you as 12, 13 stone, sis. That just registered to me.
But it wasn't like, it didn't move. It was just hard muscle. It was just, you know, when he used to say, boy, you're tick. And
But you're so little bit now as well. So that's what I'm like, what? 13 stone where?
And so can you imagine when my friends see me now who haven't seen me since then, they kind of go, are you all right? Are you well? You know, you look so different, you know, in that respect. So I'm trying my best. Like I said, I went down to 6 stone 7. So I was wearing a size 4, maybe, you know, size 6. Wow. Tiny, like kids' clothes. It was horrible. And I felt horrible. Yeah. And a lot of people say they struggle with weight loss. Putting on healthy weight is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I've got a high metabolism. Fortunately, I've got a high metabolism. But eating vegetables and fruits and drinking water and constantly kind of putting things in your body that were easier to digest, that didn't have much fats. I was still losing weight. So I had to increase what I was eating. So I'm a nibbler.
And that's where it's funny, because on one end of the spectrum, you want to be like managing your portions, but at the same time, when you're not having certain foods that are filling and are sustaining you for such a long time as well, you have to literally double up or triple up on the amount you're having in order to get all the goodness that a person that is eating meats and carbs and fats, that kind of stuff as well.
So, you know, what I want to say is at this moment, 2 years ago, I found Simply Raw. That's all I have to say, and that completely changed my world.
Yeah.
Like, to think that I could eat raw vegetables that were full of flavor, not touched. Like, the portion size then didn't matter in that respect. I realized I still couldn't eat a lot because it was so filling. I realized my body then had to do the work to digest the food.
Yeah.
It had to break it down differently. So all my energies were going in through the food, and my body was sustainant, utilizing all of that and using it to digest. So it was a win-win for me. Okay.
Yeah.
My family were like, we can't do this raw thing, we can't do it. So I then created a diet and a menu for my friends and family around me that was a combination of cooking the foods we like, but in a healthier way.
Yeah.
So I eliminated a lot of frying, deep fat frying,
and
oil.
that's very heavy in the Black community. Fried chicken, fried fish, fried dumpling, fried festival, everything.
Yes. So I looked at what was only needed to be fried. Like, was there other ways to cook plantain, for example? Did it actually need to be fried?
Absolutely. I love baked plantain. I know we spoke about this in the last one as well. Baked plantain with a bit of chili.
That's it. So what I do is that I find that I put a little bit of oil in a bowl, I throw whatever vegetables in, and I kind of toss the vegetables in a very light coating. So again, a vegetable oil, olive oil, a little bit of coconut oil. You can use nut oils if you're not allergic to nuts, because they give foods different flavors. So that's where I started experimenting. I started experimenting with different oils. Do they cook differently? Do they taste differently? Yes, they do.
Particularly infusing as well. I find with oils, you're able to capture a lot of flavor if you infuse, and you don't have to use these additional seasonings as well. So I find
that's right.
Rapeseed oil is very good with infusing with garlic and chili, and you don't have to use much of it, if any, at all, when you are actually cooking whatever food you're cooking with. So
like gingers and pickling. There's all sorts of things that we can do to actually enhance flavors in the food, and then it eliminates us having to use other ingredients that are maybe not so good for us. I might use a little bit more vinegar, because again, it's a way of cooking food, and it's not like oil. It's naturally, it does similar things. So I started experimenting with processes, like I said, different types of ingredients, different ways of cooking things. My friend is a herbalist, so she creates me this marvelous sauce, with it takes 3 weeks to marinate. It's one of them.
I think I might need to put an order in soon.
You know what I'm saying? And then, like the passata sauce, the tomato sauce, and all of these different things that I started to look into that were like, these are really, what we would consider organic or very much natural. We haven't taken too much away from the original fruit or vegetable, and we're trying to utilize it as best we can. So I try to quality ingredients. I do visit my local trade markets. I don't live in London anymore, so I do feel like I'm fortunate that I do have more locally sourced produce and fruit and vegetables that are local to me. I do cook meat for my customers. I taste it in regards to salt content or flavoring, seasoning, but in regards to actual meat itself, I don't eat it anymore. Maybe a little bit of fish, but it was more to do because I was unwell. And then when I started to eat foods that made me feel good, I actually just naturally felt better. So it was like a self-healing kind of journey, along with all the other stuff. The meditation, the exercise, drinking water, learning how to infuse water, all these sort of trends, if you see what I'm saying, that we've all been doing, was something that I learned to do, but I just stopped doing. And then when I stopped doing them, I was unwell. So when I restarted doing them, I became sort of weller, or had a better sense of well-being. And I just shared it. I just keep sharing that journey of food. I love food. I do. I bake, but I've now learned to take out flour and using different ingredients, taking out eggs, taking out butter, and there's all sorts of things that I'm learning how to do without as much sugar, without as much
healthier options.
Processed foods. So that's my biggest thing, is the process of the food is what we need to consider before we eat. So you can eat bad stuff, but cook it in a healthy way.
It's true. And something else that you touched upon there, which I think it's so needed, because we did touch upon it on the last live as well. So you spoke a bit about the emotions aspect of it, and we spoke a bit about emotional eating and stress, and how you've kind of overcome aspects of emotional eating as well. So I know you just briefly touched upon it, but let's look at the connection between emotional eating, depression, comfort eating, and just overall well-being, because I think interconnection is so important. And you in the beginning, it's like a digestion of the sight, the ears, the mouth, like of all of your senses, and that is so important to relay to people, because emotions and food is it's a whopper. So
I mean, what I remember from my last call is that it was my chocolate cake and custard every single day, like literally, you know, one of them sort of, or is it a 6-inch little chocolate cake that comes in the box with the with the filling through the middle with the sugar sprinkled on top, the cheapest, disgustingest cake. I don't mean to, sorry, but it was the worst looking cake in the shop, and a whole tin of custard. And I just eat it up, put it all in a bowl, and just gouge. The shop was open 24/7. So I'd go at 2 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the evening. Anytime I felt like eating something, cake and custard, there was nothing else. And then I got to that stage where I was just like, I could not bear to see another piece of cake or custard. But when I realised it was attached to my depression, and it's because I wasn't bothered about food. I didn't care about myself. So the one thing I actually had control over was what I could eat, or I could choose what I didn't want to eat, for example. So sitting at a table, having a proper meal. Now I'll have it on my knee at 11 o'clock at night and then go to sleep. And then I realized what times you're eating food, all of these weird emotional triggers. And food was always my go to the worst thing, go to the sugar, go to the penny sweets, go to the crisps, go to the biscuits. And then I'd look at my skin and I'd go, no way. The dark circles, the pimples, the way the fat in the food was trying to fight its way out of my face.
And then that makes you feel more depressed as well, because you've done this to yourself and you stopped yourself, but you was upset, you was depressed.
I was upset.
And it deepened it even more. Yeah,
and then a few years ago, I joined a business, and the team of people around me all had varying issues, whether it be weight, whether it be skin, whether it, you know what I mean? And then I realized that the education they were giving me was what I needed to implement into my own life first before I advised anybody else about anything. So I went on a detox. I've learned how to fast. And I fast maybe once a month where possible for just over a weekend. So from Friday, sort of daytime, I try my best to like just do the water thing during the day, and then try to continue that through to the Sunday, and just allow my body to kind of eat the fat that's in there, eat the food that's actually in my body already without having to keep adding to it. So utilize the resources that you put in and make it work for you, basically. So that was the first step. Learning what a detox was.
Before you continue as well, I think it's important to highlight that enables your digestive system to kick into place better.
That's right.
As well, because it's been starved somewhat of some of the food that it's used to. Like you said, it needs to utilize everything else that is in your body, and when it does have food, it's able to digest and process that better and smoother as well.
That's right. And this, you know, a lot of the time we eat things in excess. Okay, so when I was younger, I realized that with my hay fever, I needed a lot more vitamin C. And then intaking a lot more vitamin C used to make me go to the bathroom a little bit more. So what was happening is that I was ODing, for example, or taking too much vitamin C, so my body was just dispelling what it didn't need. So when you talk about your recommended daily allowance, all of us are different in regards to what minerals we need, what iron we need, what zinc, magnesium, and potassium. All of these things are in our food, and once you kind of isolate those different minerals, those different vitamins, and you kind of realize what your body is lacking. So you have to experiment with yourself. It sounds really weird, but you got to include things in your diet and then retract something else. So you're not replacing the sugar, but you're replacing a food for a food. So how does my body react when I don't have white sugar? Or how does my body react when I don't eat bananas for a week? Or how does my body react when I don't eat potatoes for a month? And you keep introducing these different things until you actually find your body will then learn to function at its optimum level. Because you know what your body needs, and it will utilize it where it needs to go. You know, if you've got stiff bones and achy joints, you know that you might need fish oils, or you might need magnesium, you might need potassium. So that once you learn to discover what these different things do, you know, everybody at some point in their life says, oh, I'm anemic. Low iron, you know, jaundiced eyes, dark eyes. So as you can see, you know, my eyes are quite dark. The last time we did this, the live, I had on a full face of makeup. This time I'm like, no, I'm coming with my real face so people can kind of see what it is I'm talking about. I wondered why I had dark circles. Everyone's like, oh, do cucumber treatments, drink more water. I could do all of that for the rest of my life. It didn't mean that these dark circles were going to go anywhere. What I realized was I have low iron stores. So that means the part of my body that actually stores iron doesn't work efficiently. So I've got to take iron every day to build up the iron stores before I actually get the benefit of the iron in my body. When I do my iron tablets every day, my dark circles go. Do you see what I'm saying? So I know it's the combination of things that my body is lacking as to why I look the way that I do. And again, it's about research, it's about learning. Go and see a dermatologist. They do free consultations. They will let you know what they see in your facial skin. This is the biggest organ. Remember, the skin is the biggest organ. So if we treat what we see coming out of our skin, we treat what's going on the inside.
It's true.
So
it's very, very true. And something else that you mentioned there, white sugar as replacement foods as well. That's something I've really been implementing in the last, say, probably 2 to 3 years. And I don't have any white sugar, white flour. Even if I do have white flour, it's like lentil flour or something like that, or coconut flour, because it's healthier options. To try to move certain bleached starch foods out of my diet has changed even just my weight as well. And that's something I wanted to talk to you about, was emotional weight. Oh my gosh. So it's something that I've battled with since I've had my son. I found that even with some of the emotional aspects that I was going through, food, like you said, was my go-to, and I'd store a lot of my emotional weight in my stomach, in that area, and it wouldn't shift them. And it got to a point where maybe 3 years ago, I had gone through like a therapeutic process with myself where I'd done a lot of introspection, done a lot of self-healing work, and I found that the weight around my stomach was moving. It was shedding, and I was keeping consistent, because that's another reason why I started falling off as well. So part of one of the lives, I spoke with Brother Dennis from Dennis Basulwa from the what's it called? The man.
The gym. I just know him as the gym guy. That's the real
That's it.
thing about it.
I just know him as Brother D. So I'm like, what's your name?
Oh my gosh. We must think of it before we go, though. I must admit, because I feel bad if I don't mention it, if that makes sense. But yes,
Dennis Basulwa, PT from the Womanhood Academy. So yes, we've done the interview, and we was talking about like ways to support yourself to keep up good and healthy habits. And he's been a personal trainer from like probably the last 3-4 years, and really helped with that emotional weight shifting. So are there any foods that you can recommend with managing emotional weight, particularly where we know it's of an area that women particularly face?
For me, I'll be honest, it turned into dried fruit. Let's keep it. So I replaced crisps with plantain. It's not, and then again, portions, because you get a huge, great big bag of plantain chips, and that doesn't mean sit and eat them all in one go. And that's what I had to tell myself. It was about portion. Take a little bit out in the morning, while you're out and about, eat a little handful. Even coconut, apricot, dried apricot. So anything in the dry fruit section is kind of what I replaced. Fruit in general, again, it's high in sugar, but it's about what time you eat certain things. Okay. But then you will burn those sugars off. You will burn off the potassium. And again, so it's about learning, unfortunately, about how your digestive tract works, what time your body starts to shut down in the evening, because you don't want high energy foods come 8, 9 o'clock at night, because then you won't be able to go to sleep. So all of these things are in conjunction with a good routine. So it's not just around food, but it's around a healthy, balanced routine, enough sleep, enough water, and then slowly introducing those foods. Like, I love strawberries. I freeze foods, do a lot of smoothies. You'll be surprised how much you can get if you just blitz fruit. You know, plan ahead. You know, and people say, oh, but fruits and veg are expensive. Depends on where you're going. In all honesty, it really depends on where you're going. And if it is, then find a little patch of garden, find a pot that you can grow something. There is, again, there are lots of socials, you know, media platforms you can go on and search, you know, small garden, balcony, you know, patio gardens, how to grow food in your home, you know, peppers. There's little things that we can grow day to day that actually grow quite well in this country. And we can feel a little bit more, as well. A bit more self-sufficient, you know, you feel proud, like with the children. So that's the side of it I look at, right? That's a learning experience, isn't it? Not just for you, but for your children. It's a bonded experience during this time as well. If you're fortunate enough, right? So in London, I grew up, okay, there's green space, all right? But it's not maybe used for what we would like it to be used for all of the time. If you approach your local community council, your local neighbourhood council, you might be together, collectively as a community, go over there and be able to plant a few vegetables and have a little veggie patch that the community takes care of. So just because you don't have access to green space and allotment space, have a look around you and utilise what's there. You know, my mum we never had a garden, but my mum loved gardening. You know, so she found ways to do pot plants and do different things to kind of explore that creativity, and it got me interested again more so in food. Where does food come from? You know, why do we have to get food from here? Why can't I get pineapples in January? Or it teaches you so much about the journey, you know, about green living, clean living, and it's a wonderful feeling when all of you can sit down and kind of go, we created what's on this plate, you know, and we grew it. That's it. We grew it. We cooked it. You know, even learning how to forage, do camping, bonfires. There's so many things in which ways that we can explore food that make it fun. And that's what I learned to do. If food isn't fun, then technically I don't want it. If it's not appealing to the eye, I don't want it, you know? I was just about to say appealing to the eye as well, because that, for me, if I see a plate full of beautiful colours, I know like my belly's dancing already. Yeah, that's my dance. I got anything to my mouth. Yeah, it's true. You feel like if you take me to a nice restaurant, for example, and I'm like, you know what I'm getting, and I'm a sort of person I kind of want to see the kitchen, or I might want to say hello to the chef. And most chefs who have restaurants, they're very proud. They will let you peek in their kitchen, or they'll come out and say hello, because it's what we love to do. The feedback we get that people give us in regards to how our food made them feel, of course we want to share that experience. So when I do go out to a restaurant, I'm kicking my legs under the chair like a child. I'm sitting with my knife and fork like this, and I'm like, no, I can't scoop enough food into my mouth with the knife and fork. So generally I hold on to the spoon. And, you know, I create that excitement. Like, even seeing my nieces and nephews, when I see them eating blueberries and strawberries, and they're like, Auntie Cher, and they're dancing. Yeah. And I'm like, that is what food is meant to do for us. You know, like, I agree. They're all very well and good. I live near a fast food restaurant my whole life, more or less. I could smell McVitie's. I lived near the McVitie's factory in Stonebridge growing up. So hence my addiction to biscuits. You know, that. Oh, bless you. That must have been difficult, because especially come out of that pattern of behavior and then having that constant, because I know that me, when it comes to smells, like any senses really, but smell, gosh. And here like a packet open, and I'm like, what's that? What is that? But it's so true. It's so true. So, you know, I've learned that my relationship with food had to be like the relationship I wanted to have with myself in all aspects. I want it to be fun. I want it to be loving. I want it to be healthy. I want to be shining. I want to share that energy. So again, what you put in is what you put, you know, is what you get out, is what you put out as well. So That's me. Like, it's a complete cycle where we're, you know, and we're intrinsically connected in, you know, within ourselves, and we're connected to each other. And so I just thought, you know what, be a magnet of goodness, be a magnet of positivity, be a magnet of light. And yeah, I get excited to go in my kitchen and cook. I get excited when I go shopping, you know, and think, oh, what's out there? What can I create with this? And then my customers, you know, they feedback. They're like, wow, you know, I've been waiting for that all day, and it was just what I needed. And they knew it was that, just that little bit healthier. So I've taken away that real element, you know. And I do give big portions, I'll be honest. And a lot of people say, Leash, that's a big portion, and I can split it over a 2-day window. I can eat half now and have a little bit for lunch tomorrow.
But it means that, you know, they're coming back to you as well. You know?
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. You know, I feel like I'm value for money, because then again, if you can get 2 meals out of it, then I feel like I'm doing, you know, I'm not in it for just for the money. I'm in it because I like people to love what it is that I do, eat that little bit healthier. And, you know, you've got alternatives. We do have different ways of doing it. You know, so I do a lot of roasting, a lot of steaming. I don't really boil too much, because I feel like I'm boiling the goodness out of what it is I'm providing. You know, so it was just looking at those alternatives. What countries across the globe have the most healthiest elderly population? And so I started to look at what they eat, you know, so and their food processes. So it's not just about our traditional foods, it's about foods that are global, but the process and the way of cooking them, you know. So definitely, and that's what I realized. So I love it. I love it. I'm on a real positive place, and I have this with me. I'm not going to go throughout this whole conversation.
Well, I was just about to say about creating new habits, and this I wanted to speak with you, because it's something that a lot of people, particularly over this pandemic, has been either struggling to get a grips with creating a new habit, or they've thrived and they've really excelled in changing their food habits. Or a lot of people aren't able to go out to stores, so they're being more creative in the kitchen as well. Just that aspect of them. So with the Power of 7 guide, there was 7 different like meals that you felt was guilt-free, like you said. It shouldn't be something that you know, I shouldn't be eating this, but you know, it's something that's guilt-free, something that's simple, something that's easy to make, but it's also a referencing tool. And you mentioned that before, was having a referencing tool, because not all the time you want to cook a big meal or whatever. You might just want a healthy go-to snack. And tell me something that you've written in yours, because I know you've actively been using it.
I did. And the thing is that I sort of used to look at certain things and go, oh, I don't know if I like it or not. And I think that's one thing that we kind of say as when we're younger, oh, I don't like it, but have you tried it? So as I got older, I just started to experiment. So my things, like I said, I like dried fruit. So for me, that was my easiest go-to, a little bundle of dried fruit in my van with me during the day, or a little nibble on my desk. So apricots, bananas, dried apples, and literally even candied to a certain extent. Like you can get candied ginger, and so I sit and eat a little bit of that. And again, good for the digestive tract, you know, the ginger itself. So a little bit of sugar, you know, just little increments of it. So I eat little and often. That's my biggest thing. I'm going to eat all day, every day. I'm always something going on, crunching. It's good for your teeth, you know, in regards to even using the muscles of the face and the mouth and that sort of thing. Juices, smoothies, water. So don't throw away your old fruit if it's looking a bit decrepit. Smoothies, make your own ice cream, you know, and freeze a lot. If you can freeze stuff when it's fresh, and then you can use it as it defrosts and that sort of thing. So, you know, even making your own jams, you don't have to put as much sugar in it, what's in the jar. You can
and you know what's going in it. That's the most important thing. You can experiment with it. Add a bit of cinnamon if you feel.
That's right. And even vanilla sugar. So if you want a slightly sugar, cinnamon sugar, if you want to make donuts, there's so many things that you can do and add that little bit of yourself, you know, that little bit of taste, little bit of flavor. So it is just about natural sugars. I think one of my friends, she likes, is it that agave sugar or whatever?
I don't know the name of it, but I think I know what you're talking about.
I think one of the fizzy drinks have tried to replace some of their sugars with a natural sugar. That's
a really good look, because that shows that this is not a health fad. It's something that they realize and recognize is something people are going to be wanting to do long term, and it's they start looking at alternatives rather than having another person competition come through and take all the guidance.
And I mean, it sounds really weird, but one day I did a proper shop, yeah, and it took me a very long time. And when I say a proper shop, I looked at what they consider to be low fat or reduced sugar in comparison to what we would just call the everyday brands, all right? And I realized that some of the bigger brands, name brand foods manufacturers, for example, their sugar content is huge compared to maybe a store brand or a brand we're unfamiliar with. So that's what I started to look at more than anything, is that look at ingredients, you know, those warning labels, the amber labels and that sort of thing. They're there for a reason, you know, they're quick guide, but it doesn't all, you know, so just have a look. You know, you want stuff that is more green, you know, in regards to that color chart, that's more, you know, less amber and not as much red. Again, if you create a colorful plate, you know, something funny that I don't want anyone to be offended by, but I listened to a radio station years ago, and what spurred me to try and change, or what was in my cupboards, was when my mum was borderline diabetes. Okay. And we were listening to the radio, and the man said, remove all the white food from your home with immediate effect. And I literally went to her kitchen, and anything that was bleached, should we say, or didn't have any colour, it was a no-no. And we didn't throw it away, we gave it away. We gave it to friends and neighbours and that sort of thing. But we knew that what my mum was eating, you know, because of the job she did, the time she was eating, was all contributing to her potentially being on this diabetes list. So before we even got to that stage, we were like, no, we can change this. I know someone who turned around their diabetes in 105 days. They were off the chart. They were literally could have died or had a heart attack or a stroke at any minute. They did no man-made medication. All they did was change the diet. And when I say all they did was change their diet, that's huge. But it's one thing they did. It's one thing when you on a grand scale, you know. To speak to him now and to look at him and think, you helped save my mum's life because you're the one who planted the seeds to change the diet. You know, like I said, you know, the Naked Truth Project and Davis and all of those people who encouraged me to eat differently, look at food. They knew about my health. Like, sis, try something different in it. You tried them that way, that never worked for you. Try this way. You know, speaking to my consultant this year, she's just like, you are in the most healthiest part of your life that you ever have been. You know what I mean? With
that must be so beautiful to hear after what you said about your journey. That must have been music to your ears.
Music to my ears. She was just like, you're going to live the next 40, 50 years probably better than you've lived this 40 years, because you've got rid of all that baggage, all of that dead weight, all of that stress, all of that pain. And you're utilizing every resource around you to help yourself be a better person, to feel a better person, and spread that. Because if I can do it, and I was, you know, let's keep it real, I was sitting on the train track 2 years ago waiting for a train to take me out. So if I can make that transition in 2 years just by pulling in them resources from the people around me and changing my diet, changing my environment, and when I say not where I live, but changing my environment in regards to what I let in.
Psychological environment.
And how I look at myself, how I view myself. I may not be the most vivacious. I may not be the tallest, but you know what? I love all the bits that I've got, even the extra
I love every bit of you too, sis.
Honestly, even the extra bit, I feel blessed. I feel like my tumor is an extra bit. You know what I mean? Like, I got more than everybody else. You know what I mean? I got more brains.
It's true. It's true. And that's not to knock anyone that is of a larger stature or anything like that. Being happy and content with where you're at, but knowing that there are alternative, healthier options and choices out there, and that they are available. This is why I'm bringing this to you, because again, part of the power of 7 is knowing that you are able to change certain situations. This is a simple toolkit to get on a healthier pathway, whether it is fitness, whether it is music, whether it is food. It's something simple that you can implement over a 7-day period, and it's personalized to you and only you, because you know exactly what you want.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's made me realize, what do I want to do for myself every day? Not just every 7 days, but every day. So the power of 7 for me is, I've kind of like made a bit more of a challenge for myself. Rather than 7 days, I've turned it into 7 hours. So every day, 7 hours, this is life. What you put in here is every day, every minute of life. It's not for 5 minutes. It's not just for 7 days. So if you start with the first hour and you turn that into 7 hours, that then turns into a day of hours, a week of hours, a month of hours, a lifetime change.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And then I'm going to have to snip one bit. I'm going to have to snip that bit and post that 100%. This that bit right there, powerful. Because even I think of it like that, but yes. Yes.
Because when I keep breaking it down and digesting it and dissecting it, and I'm looking at it, I'm going, right, so there's exercise, right? I do 20 minutes each day. I do 7 exercises. I do them for 7 minutes each. Do you see what I'm saying? So then I moved on to the next one. And then I was like,
literally.
right, 7 segments. What are my mantras? Master of my destiny. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Hustle in silence, let success be the noise. And then that's 7. I can read all 7. Boom, that's another task done for the day.
It's true.
If I do all of this at 7 o'clock in the morning,
yes,
because that's when it starts, I've got the whole day.
It's true. It's very true. And it's implanting these positive seeds in you to know that no matter what, you're going to remember, because like you just said, if you do it at 7 a.m. every day, across 7 hours even, again, the power of 7 is about recall and repetition. It's about embedding. It's a wholeness. Number 7 is known as angel number of wholeness. And it's something that I think even over the 7 days, you're able to repeat it, refine it, view it, look over it, see how you can improve it for yourself as well. So
that's it. And just pull one page out, just pull one page out every day and look at those.
It doesn't have to be overwhelming.
Things. It doesn't have to be. Pick one thing off of each of the 7 pages and pick what's your number 1. Pick what's your number 7 today.
Exactly.
What's your number 5,
Yeah.
Even when it comes to smell.
It doesn't have to be in order. It's how you want it to be, but it's at least a guide. It's a start.
Yeah.
Starting.
It doesn't. It made me think of what relaxes me, what smells hype me up, what, even just the little things, the essential oils, the candles.
Well, this is why...
So much. There's so much in here. Like going in the bath. What scent do I want in the bath? How will it make me feel? What oil do I want to rub on? How do I want other people to smell me?
Yeah. Because sis, think of it like this. Everything that's in there, it touches on all of your 5 senses as well. Yeah. So the uplifting music is auditory. The cooking of foods is taste.
Smell and taste, yeah.
It's all encompassing all of your 5 senses, but also it looks into the 5 ways of well-being as well. So the government says that there's 5 ways to well-being, mental well-being, connect, that's in there, connecting with people as well.
Yes.
Say about noticing, that is part of the affirmation. So it's a whole rounded thing, but it doesn't have to be overtly out there to you. It's embedded in a subjugated way that it gets you subconsciously thinking about how you can better your 7 days and continue it 7 months, 7 years down the line.
That's right.
Planting the seed.
And it's really funny because like last week, my mum said to me, Leash, as she says, Data, 7 years of lean and 7 years of plenty. She says, this is the beginning of your 7 years of plenty.
Yes.
And then I look at where I was 2012 and then where it took me to 2019, some seriously dark moments. And I consciously said to myself that what does 2020 represent to us? Vision, hindsight. So I came into 2020 with that already embedded in me. That was what I wanted for myself. Everything that's going on now, I was just like, this is just a distraction because I still know I need to hold my vision and keep it moving. So I will, I have appreciation for what's happening in the world. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on that. But it doesn't mean it's going to stop me from wanting to fulfill my purpose, which is going to help so many others. And it's not just about age or just about race or just about this or just about that. It's our health is our wealth.
Yes, absolutely. And you even said it in the last interview, eat to live, not eat to just eat or eat because other people are eating, or, sometimes not eating is doing your body even more just than eating.
Definitely, yeah.
Like you said about fasting.
Fasting. A lot of people fast and they connect with a different part of themselves. And a lot of us say, we've been through the struggle and we've had a hard life and that, Sometimes feeling hungry is the most humbling experience of life.
It's true.
And then knowing within self that you have the capability of providing yourself a meal.
Yeah.
Humble yourself yet again, because there's people out there
that can't even do that for themselves or their families, and have that in their back as well.
That's right. So we do things consciously, you know, and we know why we're doing it. And then, you know, sometimes feeling hungry makes me want to achieve more quicker. Yeah, because then I want to be able to sit down and eat with gratitude and thankfulness and appreciation for the food and what it's doing for me, to replenish me, to go out again tomorrow and help one more person, another family, do my job, get that person. And the irony is that I deliver medication for the pharmacy. All right. I'm not against medication, because each to their own. But I again get an opportunity to speak to the people I'm delivering to. What you eating? Are you eating food that's going to help this medication work? Have you read that small print? There are foods you eat that are going to counteract what you're eating. And a lot of people don't know that these side effects and what's written in these little forms, they're there for a reason, but a lot of us don't read them.
They throw it away. And again, okay, I'll just even touch upon this, but I'm an advocate, and I always tell people when it comes to medication, because part of my job, I work in Highgate Mental Health Hospital, and sometimes people request for medication changes, but they don't know what they're actually taking. They will listen about side effects and things like that, but not actually know that it causes a lot of water retention. It causes high libido activity. It causes all these different things that can actually be reduced. If you look at the plant element of these antipsychotic medications as well, you could find that you could support yourself better than pharmacology can.
That's right. That's exactly it. So it does take time, okay? And that's why I said these things are life lessons. They're life long. I will always be adapting and changing and trying and not experimenting per se, but moving in a way that I feel that's benefiting me and my environment around me, you know, more so than anything. So it is, like I said, just choose one thing. Just choose one thing. Absolutely. And when you feel comfortable with that one thing, you're then receptive to try something else, you know, and that momentum keeps going. So I have an accountability buddy. I have people that check in with me, make sure I'm doing what I'm doing. You know, I've got certain of my brethren that will say, Leash, you know, you're looking a certain way, sis, what you've been eating, you know, but because they care about my well-being, you know, more so than anything. And it's not just about the way you look, but they can tell by what's coming out of my mouth audibly if I've been ingesting stuff that's decent. Because if you speak negatively sometimes, it's like, well, what have you been feeding yourself to be speaking like this? You know, it's so true. That's kind of right. And it's about that consciousnness of what is going in. So I don't own a TV or television or tell lies visually, whatever you call it. You know, I do get my news sources if that's what's necessary. But again, I use those same tools to educate myself. Rather than bring myself down, I then go away and go, right, so what good happened in the world today? You know? Fill yourself with positive love, because what we're seeing, what we're feeling sometimes can be changed. It's a facade. We think it's the worst it's going to get. And I'll just leave you with this. If nothing changes...
Yes, your food for thought. Go on, say that again.
If nothing changes, nothing changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It all begins with self. Okay? Try our best to be accountable and responsible for what we put in and for what we put out.
Absolutely agree. Thank you so much, Lescha, for this doubly amazing interview. To you. It has been, again, an amazing interview. And I just also wanted to touch lastly on something about what you said about digestion. Something that I think we all need to start doing as well is looking at different routes that these food benefits can get into our system. So something I've been doing myself is I've been making tea baths, and all the nutrients, the ingredients in the tea has been literally, and you see people have been saying, Ray, your skin's this, and I'm like, listen, it's my baths, honestly. So there are different routes that this digestion can happen as well, and it doesn't always have to be through the mouth. It can be topically, like we spoke about essential oils with Nicola. That's another thing that I think everyone should go out and watch, because again, it's plant-based, it's all whole natural stuff. So
and you know, I don't know where you'll be watching in the world, but if you're in the UK, explore what's on your doorstep. You will be surprised of the abundance of flowers and things that we can use. Go and find out what nettles do. Go and find your elderflower. Go and find your gooseberry.
Just in your garden, like
like just
so
explore.
Many things.
Yeah,
so
just
many
explore
things.
what the UK has to offer. All right, so it's not all doom and gloom here in that respect. And if we're living in this environment, let's utilize the things that are also here as well, because that's just another, again, a lack of knowledge and a lack of understanding. And things that are here can protect us and benefit us also. Like you said, have a nettle bath, nettle tea. There's so many things, chamomile. There's loads of things that grow on your doorstep that you will not even realize. So take your children out and do a flower discovery day, a leaf day, a bird day. You know, do what you can to stay connected with nature. That's all. That's my final point. Do what you can to stay connected with nature.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, Sister Leash. So just briefly, your tags, where can everyone find you?
I am Lescha, which is Lescha, Marshall spelt with ALL, Witter, WITTER. It's hyphenated, Marshall-Witter. Yes, I'm posh. I've got a double barrel surname.
Don't worry, me too, girl.
So but once you type in my first name, Lescha, you'll see this mug, you know, and I that's it. I can't hide. I'm also known as Natrel Mystic. Natrel is spelled NATREL, because I didn't want to take the limelight away from Bob Marley with his Natrel Mystic. I wanted to pop up at the same time. You know what I mean? So,
I hear you. And your business, where can everyone get this beautiful?
The food, right? So I'm based in Hatfield in Hertfordshire. I do events and private catering sessions. So as we're allowed to kind of congregate a little bit differently or interact a bit differently. So I do a sort of a speciality meal in your home. So if you're having a dinner party and you don't want to do the cooking, I come round. I can do the cooking in your home in front of you if you want to learn as well. Or I can bring the food which is already prepared, serve it all up, get it all out on the plates, and then I disappear and leave you to enjoy your meal with your guests and your family.
And that's table service right there, people. Look, who do you know that can do this for you? Table service. Listen.
Well, you know what? It's not out there. I actually.
This is what I mean. Table service in your home.
So I send you a list of menus. You choose what meals you want from the list. Like I said, I come round, prepare, do what we want to do. All you do is set your table up and do all your bits. I just do the cooking element of it. Like I said, serve the food. I don't do the washing up. Okay, I don't.
Get the kids to do that.
I take my containers with me, but I don't do your washing up. All right. So, that means that I'm accessible to people who are not local to me.
Yes.
Okay. So if you know wherever it is you are, I don't have like a restriction. I love driving. I love traveling. So predominantly in the UK, unless you're willing to pay for the ticket for me to go abroad, I'm happy to do that as well.
Prices will be included. Trust me.
You see
Flights, VAT, expenses.
That's right.
And then we'll get to the ingredients.
Then we get to it. So Yard Foods on Facebook and Yard Foods as it sounds on Instagram as well. So our special, we do a different special. We do different meals each week. We have sides. We try and keep a vegan option predominantly because, again, I've extracted all of the animal fat out of all of my preparation, and the only animal fats is in the actual animal, if that makes sense. So it's ovened, it's steamed, it's slow broiled, it's slow cooked. Whatever ways I can find that doesn't include a whole lot of oil, still includes all the flavour, all the nutrients, succulent. My mouth is watering already. So a little bit of an all-rounder, So again, we're Womanhood Academy volunteers, and that's our connection. So again, if you've got someone, a young princess who you pick up on this energy,
send them to us.
Where can we get some of that? Send them our way, and we'll be happily embrace you in our family of love. Is what we're all about, Absolutely. So sharing is caring, health is wealth. Hustle in silence, let success be your noise, is what I say.
Oh, say that one more time. Go on.
Hustle in silence and let success be your noise.
Oh, you hear that, everyone? So make sure you share this and make this video a success, because so many people need to hear what Lescha has just thrown down on us today. Yes, so many people. Make sure you follow Yard Food. And something she didn't mention, which I'm going to even mention, go on her podcast. You will find her, yes?
Yes.
On Spotify and all of your podcast channels.
Yeah, SoundCloud, Spotify,
Absolutely
iPod, Player, Anchor, you name it. Just type in Natrel Mystic Podcast, and again, I will pop up somewhere on your socials. You can Google me. I didn't realise that I was that famous. You can actually Google
It's because
me.
you're everywhere, sis. You're everywhere. So make sure you connect with sis. And when we are all alleviated from this solitude season, we're all going to connect up. We're going to hold a food. We're going to hold some good vibes. And join us. So
Ragga aerobics.
Listen, I'm down for everything. I'm down for everything. Seriously.
We'll be on it. It's been a pleasure, as always.
As always, sis. It always is. Thank you so much, guys. This is Rhyana tapping out from Plan Wholesome Empowerment Group with Lescha, talking about the Power of 7 Ultimate Wellness Guide. Have you got your copy? Have you got your copy? If you have, go and grab it now, okay? Go and grab it now. Take care. Blessings, love, and light. Have a good evening, everybody. Take care.